I was about 10 years old when I got on an airplane for the first time, off with mom and dad and my brother to see my grandparents who wintered in Florida. It was thrilling. I'm still not over it. I can remember so clearly how thrilling it was as a kid to be on a plane. The size of the planes outside of the terminal of the airport, unbelievable. The noise that they make when they take off, loudest thing I'd ever heard. And I remember when they closed the door to the plane when we were inside, it was the biggest handle I'd ever seen when they closed the door of the plane. One of the things that I asked my mom was, how come those people from the airport are on the plane with us? I had noticed their uniforms and thought they looked great in the airport, but I didn't understand why they were on the plane too. And she said, oh, they're coming with us, honey. And I thought, what? They're coming with us? It filled my kid mind with wonder. These people in uniforms are coming with us to go see Grandma and Grandpa? I said, do they live where we're going? They're going to Charlotte or Atlanta or wherever the plane change was? And she said, well, I don't know, but they're not going because they have to go there. They're going because we have to go there, and they're going to make sure we get there safely. I still couldn't believe it. We're going on a trip, and they're coming with us? That's what Christmas really means. We're on this journey, and God is like, I don't want you to go without me. I don't want you to go through all of that on your own. I want you to be safe. I don't want you to be alone. I'm coming with you. And closes the great big door handle to heaven. I still think flying is one of the most spiritual experiences we can have, just on an average day. Flying above the clouds. I mean, for anybody who flies, you know that it can be the worst weather on the ground imaginable. Sleet, hail, thunder and lightning. But when you get up to, I don't know, maybe 15,000 feet or above there, no matter what's going on, no matter how crazy it was on the ground, suddenly it's bright blue sky. The sun is always shining. It feels unbelievable. And what we're seeing when we're flying is where he came from. The bright, sublime blue beyond all of this. And he descended to be with us. And you know he went through turbulence, just like a plane does, when it leaves that bright blue sky and has to land in horrible weather. The turbulence shook him and Mary and Joseph as he descended to be with us. And when he got down here, it was cold, and it was gray, and it was dismal. But he wanted to be here with us, so he came. And now our job is perpetual. We must always, in every moment, seek to find him where he is, here with us. Often, not immediately visible, but here nonetheless. Dorothy Day is a woman who spent most of her life in upstate New York or in New York City, and she's on the road to sainthood. Some people know her name, others don't, but she worked with the very poor in New York City for a huge part of her life. But she was not a very religious person when she was young. But the moment that changed everything is when she had a baby and they placed this newborn daughter in her arms. And she said, I realized for the first time that someone greater than myself had given me this gift. And she said, I felt the feeling for the first time, I want to worship that. Whoever did this for me, I want to worship whoever that is. And it set her on a journey to find God. There's a Harvard professor named Arthur Brooks who says something really powerful. He says, the greatest artists do not do self-portraits all the time. The great artists don't draw themselves in their drawings. They don't paint themselves in their paintings. They put themselves into it all right. In their work, you'll find their heart and their soul, but you won't find their face. But then he says, not believing in God just because God's not visible in nature is like not believing in Picasso because you don't see his face in the lower corner of the picture. No one has a hard time believing in Pablo Picasso. Yet we require God to show up, to come face to face with us, which we know is unreasonable. We're told in Scripture, you couldn't handle it. Moses was told, turn your back. You can see me as I'm passing away from you, as I'm bringing my glory further down the road, but you can't handle the fullness of that. The great artists don't do self-portraits all day. They put their heart and soul into the beauty of their work, which is what God has been doing for over 13 billion years in nature. So where is the Messiah in the great painting of life? Well, somewhere. If you're looking at a Where's Waldo scene, Waldo's in there somewhere. It's not always easy to see him right away, but he's there. It's called Where's Waldo. And we are on a journey to see where Christ is always. Where is the Messiah? Where is God in this experience? Right here, right now. Or whatever chapter of life we're in. Where is God in this chapter? That is our job perpetually in life. When's the last time you saw God in your experience? When's the last time you knew, oh my goodness, God is here. We're not on this journey alone. Recently, many people have heard that one of our Glens Falls firefighters, Doug Hall, was diagnosed with early onset dementia in his 50s. Kind of a nightmare story, isn't it? Where's God in that? Hard to imagine that would be God's will. What we did see, though, is that all of the other firefighters who've been working with him, many of them working with him throughout his 17-and-a-half-year career, decided to donate their sick time to him. They were afraid that the holidays would be coming, and when it became clear about 10 weeks ago he wasn't going to be able to come to work anymore, they banked all their sick time, and they gave it to him so that he would have those 10 weeks of pay. Now, they're trying to figure out if they can bank 18 months of vacation time. That's what they're trying to do. All these firefighters are trying to pool their vacation time, give it away, so that he can retire with 20 years of service. That's a huge sacrifice, giving away your vacation time to try to make 18 months of vacation for someone who needs it. Where is God in that situation? Where is the Messiah there? One of our longtime parishioners who has passed away a while now was Evelyn Sirocco. A lot of people knew Evelyn and knew her family. She had a very quiet thing that she would do. She would read the obituaries every day, and she always made sure that she had a clean black dress hanging in the closet, because she would search the obituaries for anyone who had no surviving family members. And she would put on that black dress and go to that funeral. She wanted to make it her job to be sure that no one ever died alone, that there was never a funeral with no mourners in our town. We can't change that people die every day, but we can see where God is present even in that. I once was in a town where I had a doctor off the main street. It wasn't a place I lived, but I often was parking on the street there to go to appointments. And one day, I saw a man just very quietly whistling as he put a quarter into every parking meter on the street. It was only a couple seconds later that I realized the meter maid was about 5 cars behind him. He was making sure that no one was getting a ticket that day. Where is the Messiah hidden in this life? Last winter, there was a horrible accident not far from here, just a couple of exits up on the Northway. There were 23 people on a bus from Montreal going on an excursion weekend to New York City, all excited. It was an after-Christmas trip in January, and the bus, in very bad weather, slid off the road, and 1 person died, and 11 people were injured. And the rest of the people, many of whom didn't speak English, were so sad and disoriented. So the Fort William Henry Hotel took them all in, gave them free rooms, fed them without a bill, made sure that they got the supplies they needed. Since they couldn't get their bags from the crash scene, they got them provisions and enough clothes to get themselves settled and then to find their way back home. When the head of the hotel was interviewed and asked, how could you do this? She said, our mission is to take care of travelers. That's what we do. And that was what was needed for these people. We just did what our mission tells us to do. Where is the Messiah? In bus crashes, in funerals of lonely people, in parking tickets, in early onset dementia. Our job is to find where God is in those moments. Jean Slack is one of our favorite parishioners. She turned 102 back in September, and I got invited to her birthday party at her son's house. And there were all the kids and the grandkids all around her. She's as sharp as a tack. And I said, Jean, what would you tell me about living to 102? What have you learned about life that I should know? She said, people need to know that God is love. She said, God's not somebody with a beard hanging out in the sky. She said, God is the love that we have right here. God is present here, she said. She said, once you know that, you know everything you need to live to 100 or beyond. We're not alone on this trip. The one who descended from above the turbulence came down through it all and chose to be with us to make sure that we could handle this journey and that we would make it safely to our destination. With a companion like that, how could we fail to arrive safely?